Sweet. Well, we tried using Riverside's recording music feature to play some of our music like last time, and guess what? The thing isn't working. So welcome back to episode 42. We're happy to be back,
Yep.
and we love paying for platforms that don't work. So
Yes.
pretty awesome.
It always really makes you remember why you bought it, because now the reason you bought
Yes.
it is not being accomplished. So here we are back in episode 42. What we're going to do is we're going to open with some cool jams that we had created in the electronic space of the interwebs. But as you can see, we're just going to dry start this and just go in. Let the engine get warm as it goes, as they say.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yep.
This is
I'd be curious post-production though, like if it shows up for me, like what, because I'm the one that's recording or the host.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll show up even though you couldn't hear it.
I bet you it will. And this is like, in the early 2000s or the 1990s, before heated seats were like a really big thing. And if, you had to go somewhere in the morning during the winter and your parents forgot to warm the car before you got in and you were going to school, and then the car only got warm right as you were about to get out for school because it spent the whole drive warming up and letting the air get warm. That's what starting this episode is like.
It's definitely what it feels like. It's, I don't know. It's definitely one of those Saturdays that, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that I feel like I want to go do.
Right?
Yep. And we're just getting going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Started the day though. Started off with some good Battlefield gameplay. It was fun to hop on. The new Battlefield 6, phenomenal. Keegan and I were talking before we hopped on this recording. I don't think I have had this much fun with a first-person shooter, at least in a good couple of years, than I have with Battlefield 6. Just one of those games where it's like, golly, it's just fun. I love it.
Yeah, I think I haven't bought Battlefield 6 yet, though, because I just can't, even though I can spend $70, $80 a day on plenty of things that I don't need, I can't fathom spending all that at once. But in increments, I can spend it all the time. And I do have the free version of Battlefield 6 being their Red Sec, which is their Battle Royale. And that's fun. They don't have Resurgence. And I think Resurgence is like the absolute necessity in Battle Royale to make it fun. Because if you don't have Resurgence, then if you're not good like myself, you just end up playing the game for 20 minutes and rage quitting because you've played 6 games in that span and gotten just killed every single time. So I am having a love-hate relationship with it right now. I'm still stuck on Helldivers, still a really fun game, and it is just one of the ones that I think games should be like this. Games should be kind of like, how would you say it? If you haven't had donuts in a long time, if you haven't had donuts in a really long time and then you eat some donuts and you're like, oh, these donuts are so good. But if you keep eating the donuts, you eventually are like, I don't want any more sugar in my stomach right now. Like this is really good, but I've had my fill. And as a 32-year-old adult, your fill comes a lot quicker, but it's definitely still needed. So that's what Helldivers is like. You get on, you play for about 30, 45 minutes, and you're like, this was really fun, but I've had my fill for the day. And you get off and you go start being an adult again. That, and I don't know, I keep bringing this one up, but Cyberpunk. I went back on Cyberpunk, and it was funny. I was telling Chase there was an ending of Cyberpunk where you get to the end, and spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it yet, but it's been out for a while, so that's on you. But you get to the end where you have this choice between taking these beta blockers, which will keep you alive long enough to let this thing inside your head not kill you, or you can do something else and not take the beta blockers. And the first time I got to it, I didn't take the beta blockers. And he's like, so you want to do it, Johnny? And he's like, I'm along for the ride with you. And then all of a sudden you hear a gunshot and the game ends. And I'm just like, what? Like the credits start rolling. There's an option where you can just kill yourself at the end of the game. And I had no idea. I thought the option was going to be like, don't take the beta blockers and tough it out and like don't cave into what they're telling you to do. Just like, be true to yourself or whatever it was. But no, if you don't take the beta blockers and you choose otherwise, then you kill yourself and the game ends right there. And then the crazy part is I went back and reloaded that part and, because there's obviously alternate endings. There's like a whole other 3 parts to play past shooting yourself, so it's like, and then it's just, it's just a ridiculous like way to end the game to where you're just like, this is getting really good. I really like this. And then all of a sudden you're just, bam, and you're just gone. You're just gone. The game's no longer.
I will say that's probably one of the more earth-shattering endings to a game. I feel like that we've played in our gaming history.
Well, you haven't jumped on Cyberpunk yet.
No, I haven't, but just hearing it from you, I'm like, I don't think out of all the games that I've played, I don't think I've ever played a game with an ending like that.
There is a
just like, okay.
Well, I mean, in Ghost of what's his name? Tsushima. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but it sounded wrong for some reason. In Ghost of Tsushima, I mean, it has a similar ending to where at the ending of Ghost of Tsushima, you can choose to kill your father, or you can choose to, because at the ending of Ghost of Tsushima, the whole thing about Ghost of Tsushima is he broke the Emperor's commands and he went rogue and he started destroying all of these Mongol camps. And his dad is a like what would you call it? He's like a leader of one of the major clans, and the clans all report up to the shogun, who's the emperor. And because his son, why is his name slipping my mind right now? His son, the Ghost of Tsushima, broke all of these commands. It's his father's, like his entire clan is disbanded, and it's his father's job to find his son and kill his son to regain the clan's honor. And like, he's like, so at the end of the game, you fight your dad, who's also a samurai, and a very good one. And you end up beating your dad. I mean, that's the whole point of the fight is, one of you wins, and your dad gets down on his knees as a samurai would do and say, I've been defeated in battle. Give me a warrior's death, chop off my head. And, or like just whatever that looks like. I'm pretty sure it's chopping off his head, and you have a choice to fulfill your dad's wishes and restore his honor by killing him, or deny your dad's wishes of restoring his honor and not kill him and just run off and be, something that they never chase, like just a rogue operative. And I chose not to kill his father because I just couldn't do that. I could not be like, yeah, it's honor, so let me just chop off your head. You raised me and we have all these memories together. Yeah. So there's games with similar endings, but not as like, what the heck just happened though? Like in that instance, it's like presented to you like what the choices are and why the choices should be made. There's no one telling you you're about to shoot yourself in your head.
Surprise!
Just the way it rolls the credits, you're just like, what the heck is going on? And I literally was like I was waiting for the next mission, and all of a sudden the credits come on screen. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. So it was just, I definitely would not favor that ending, but man, there's something about Night City though that just feels nostalgic. I love just the aesthetics of cyberpunk, the idea of a dystopian future like that, which is actually probably where it's going to go. Major corporations who make lots of money kind of influence everything and have battles with each other. But at the end of the day, it's not real yet. I might have asked my chat bot how I could make it real, just to see if there's any, ideas it had, and couldn't find anything real. And I felt like that. Have you ever seen that video of that little girl who's like, she's in her room and she has like a little recording device like parents put in kids' rooms, and she runs up to Alexa and she goes, "Hey Alexa, can you tell me how to make a silver thing that you stand on and you can think about it, and you stand on the silver thing and you can think about it and go anywhere?" And Alexa's like, "Sorry, I can't do that." And she goes, "Dang it."
If only it were that easy.
And it's so funny because her face is so like she just had this idea of like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ask Alexa to tell me how to make a teleportation device so I can go anywhere I want real quick. And she was like, this is so going to work. Very obviously does not work.
Dude, if that was a thing, the first thing that I would make?
What?
So remember, I think it was the first Spy Kids movie where they like pop those little popcorn packets in a microwave.
I knew it as soon as you said Spy Kids.
Dude.
As soon as you said Spy Kids. Well, here's the thing, though. That actually technically can be done because dehydrated food.
Yeah.
Literally, like you can dehydrate food down to like nothing, like so small. And then you just put, I guess, liquid back in it, and it literally turns all back. It like all gets bigger again and turns back into the regular food. But it can't be done in the same way in terms of like, and I thought it was funny how like, they had a McDonald's cheeseburger as the, little microwaved thing to throw in there, as if that's what a secret agent would eat.
Right? Hey, you don't know. They might be on the go. They got to get something real quick, and boom, McDonald's.
I'm low in calories. I need something healthy.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to get me through this mission.
So on your note of cyberpunk, I was watching this one YouTuber. What's his name? He's a guy that does this kind of van camping type thing. So he built out a whole Sprinter van, right? He's got his bed. He can shower. There's a kitchen in there. He drives around all across the U.S. Super, super awesome channel. Ryan Toomey is his name. Highly recommend you guys go check it out. But he did a video within the last probably couple weeks. He traveled over to China, and there was one city in China called like Chongqing that literally looks exactly like a cyberpunk city. Have you seen pictures of this?
No.
All right, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you this. Chongqing.
Chongqing, China.
Let me pull it up here so the whole audience can see this good stuff. These good stuff. I hate these verification boxes. It's like, prove that you're a human. What if I just tell you I'm a human? How about that, huh? Huh?
There was one that, oh man, it really does. Wow.
All right. For the audience, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. All right, audience. If you're wondering if there's an actual city that exists in real life that looks like cyberpunk, voila. Pull it up right here.
Right here.
I don't know how well it'll come through, but pretty sweet.
Yeah. That looks freaking cool.
Like, look at that.
The only thing you're missing is the people walking around with like robotic arms and stuff.
Right. Except I don't know why they would show that picture. That's kind of really lame. But
well, you got to see it in the daytime too.
Nope. Not at all.
No.
It's always dark at nighttime in Cyberpunk City.
Man, all I ever hear about China is like all of the
China.
All I ever hear is all of the building projects that collapse because they have such low standards for building code enforcement, or for the materials that they use, and they're just so preoccupied with getting things up and running as quickly as possible that they sacrifice a lot of integrity along the way, or structural integrity. And it's just like, things just falling through roofs and buildings collapsing in on itself. It's just,
Yeah.
I have a friend who's in China right now.
Who?
Um,
Do I know him?
Martina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not like she told me, but I see her on Instagram, and she's in China right now and just going through all of the cool places, that like the floating rocks, that they based Avatar off of, cities, like where she took a picture of this like street that's just so enclosed by the buildings, and it's this little cobblestone street, and people kind of sitting out on their porch doing their thing, and it's just like, gosh, man, that's like it's just an aesthetic that you're just like, oh, I would love to live in that and see what that was like.
Yeah. It will be cool. I mean, just living in a city that has architecture that goes back hundreds of years. I don't know. Just
Hundreds of
thinking,
years,
obviously, China.
thousands of years.
Well, yeah, thousands, but like China, the Great Wall of China, or even living in ancient Rome, where I don't know. I'm just so fascinated by the fact that in Greece and Rome, you still have structures that are standing that have existed for thousands of years.
Well,
I mean, historical context, like just the Colosseum, is still standing today, and you can walk around it, and no one probably thinks twice of it. I mean, there's probably individuals out there that do, but just thinking of people used to legitimately kill each other here for sport. And now it's just like a giant, let's go take a look at the Colosseum. I don't know. The dichotomy that exists with that is so wild. Same with the Aztecs. I mean, like the temples or the pyramids,
yeah.
like knowing, man, people got sacrificed here.
Well, that
It's pretty trippy.
Well, I've been to the Aztec temples in Mexico, and you get to walk to the top and look at the table that they used to put people on as they took their heart out. And that is just like, it is weird because like you expect, as you're going towards some type of, really monumental artifact like that has had so much history attached to it, that you're going to feel something, and then you don't feel anything, and your brain's almost like trying to force a feeling onto it, because you're just like, just think hard about that. Like a long time ago, someone was here on this table with an obsidian knife going into their heart, and cutting their heart out as they were still alive. And the thing is as they cut the heart out, it was still beating. So they would hold it in their hand, and then place it onto like a thing of ash and let it smoke, and believe that, the still beating heart burning on those coals, and the smoke that was coming up from it, was drifting up to the gods and giving them their fill of, blood or sacrifice or whatever it was, so they could have, uh, prosperity in a certain area or win a war or something like that. And I listened to, the Aztecs in terms of the Fall of Civilizations podcast. And the thing that they actually did was, there was 3 or 4 Mayan civilizations, and there was one that was dominant above the other ones, and they would go to war and do raids for resources and sacrifice victims. Because in war, as an Aztec warrior, if you wanted to get up to the highest warrior, which was like the eagle warrior, and like, the most respected person, you had to capture at least 4 people in battle. And that was the crazy thing about battle for the Aztecs, is the point of battle was not to just kill the other side. Like that was a, how do you say, a byproduct of self-defense, someone trying to defend themselves or people fighting. The real goal as a warrior was to capture people alive and bring them back for your sacrifices. So, I mean, just think of that, just like being a civilization that is just constantly raided by another city that has more power than you, that the only thing that they're doing is raiding you for resources, and then raiding you to take your full-grown men so they can chop out their heart with an obsidian knife on a stone table. That would be scary.
Yeah, I would say so. It reminds me of that movie Mel Gibson did years ago. What was it,
Apocalypto.
Apocalypse Now? Or Apocalypto, not
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. That was a different one. I've never seen that movie, but from what I've heard about it, it was one of the most like phenomenally intensive, I want to say historically accurate movies that Mel Gibson has done.
Well, the thing that really sucks is that we just don't have. We have um, only a few legitimate artifacts that give us indications of the history of the actual Aztec people, because a lot of those things were destroyed as they were taken over and decimated by the Spaniards and whatnot. But yeah, and I think it's called the Book of the Kings is what it is. It's
Sounds familiar.
that is where we get all of our actual history of what happened between these civilizations. But and the Aztecs themselves, they started out as a mercenary culture, to where they were just they were known in the area for being really good fighters, and they didn't even have an Aztec civilization yet. This is hundreds of years before the Aztecs became the Aztecs, who didn't even know themselves as the Aztecs. We called them the Aztecs, but they started out as a they were just a population of people that were known to be good at fighting. So they would be hired by villages and whatnot. And that population of people eventually found like a really swampy marsh area that they started building their own huts in and whatnot. And that eventually would become, the first major Aztec city. So it is it's a really interesting history. Like I also listened recently to the history of China, and the first dynasties of China, and that is also like you want to know something funny about the first dynasties of China?
What's that?
They were majoritively influenced and ruled by eunuchs, which were dudes who were castrated, had no balls, and what do they call them? Uh, Empresses that were widows. I forget what they're called, but those were, and and most of the emperors in China would be under the age of 15, because the eunuchs and the empress widows were all utilizing these child emperors because they were so easy to influence and take control over. And it was actually the eunuchs that ended up overpowering and it was crazy because it's these two like dark factions behind the scenes that are really influencing all the politics. The kid emperor is just a stand-in, for political power, and it was whoever's, stand-in they had in there that that had the power at the time. And most of these emperors only made it 2-3 years before they were assassinated. So these little kids, and there would be emperors that were 5 years old, you know, and the younger the better for them, because they could just completely
Manipulate. Yeah.
manipulate them. And just I remember they would just tell them false rumors or something about seeing certain people, or certain provinces that they couldn't go to because of X, Y, and Z. And these kids that grew up only with those people whispering in their ear would just full on believe them. And yeah, it was just like these little kids were mouthpieces that would just be murdered every so many years. And it was just it's just wild, because it seems like towards the end, there were really no substantial emperors that actually did much. It was just the factions fighting and these child emperors being assassinated, which is inherently where all their powers slipped through the cracks, because there was no real central initiative to really fight for the people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, looking back throughout history, it's crazy what humanity, like we as humans, have done.
Yeah.
I mean, all for the gain of power, wealth, greed, all the temporary stuff that is just like, and even back then, lifespans weren't as long as they are today. So you're just like, okay, for this 40 to 50 years, I'm going to go ham. and make sure I can control and dominate as much as I possibly can.
That's what Genghis Khan did.
Yep.
You know, and it was funny because, you know, not even just, you know, in the beginning of the Chinese emperors, the emperors were extremely strong. You know, they were real emperors, because they kind of like founded all of these cities, or not cities, but, you know, founded these civilizations, you know, quote unquote, you know, that became these large empires. And there was one of them, and I believe it was the Sun Dynasty, I believe, and just like Genghis Khan did this as well, but he was getting old in age, and he would send out, you know, emissaries or, you know, search bands to try to find like the rumored elixir of life that would give him, old, make a memorial. And they like truly believe that out there, it's like somewhere there was some wise monk or something like that up in the mountains that had the elixir to life. Genghis Khan found this guy who was supposedly, you know, a monk, that very wise monk that was supposed to have some information on it. And he got him into his court, and he was like, tell me what you know. And he essentially said, the secret to long life is like taking care of yourself. And Genghis Khan thanked him and was like, you know, I appreciate you being candid with me, and let him go. The Chinese emperor murdered the dude. It was like, wrong answer. The Chinese emperor,
I want that secret sauce.
yeah, the Chinese emperor did the same thing, but he got the dude, and the dude was like, there's no elixir to life. And he's like, that was the wrong thing to say. You're dead. And he had his scholars, who were like major historians that were very close to him, murdered, and their books burned. You know, and I think that's probably the thing I'm most upset with humans in history about, is burning others' history. That, just like these books that have literally been there for, you know, thousands of years of history that has been accumulated of medicine, war, you know, succession, all of this stuff. And they just, you know, win a war or whatever, and they burn every little instance of it. And it's just like all of this knowledge lost, all of these things. It's so crazy. And dude, you want to know one of the coolest parts about the Genghis Khan one, or, you know, the Mongolian one? I swear, I was pulling into my apartment, and when I heard this, I almost slammed on my brakes. I was like, that was one of the coolest things I have ever heard in my life, because it was saying that, you know, Kublai Khan, which was one of Genghis Khan's sons, I believe, and I could be getting that wrong, so please fact check me if I am. But it was one of Genghis Khan's sons or grandsons that was the Grand Khan at that time, and
he was the grandson, by the way. He was the grandson of Genghis Khan.
Then it might have. I know Kublai Khan was one of his grandsons, but it might have been one of his sons that was doing this. But they're sitting there talking about how he had gotten really, really paranoid, and anyone that was entering the city had to be stripped down completely naked and searched and whatnot, because he had caught the attention of the Hashishan assassins. Which I was just like, what? Wow. That is so cool. And he was literally like, you know, very, very nervous because they were after him. And it was the Mongolians, not King Richard. It was the Mongolians who went and found the eagle's nest for the Hashishan assassins and killed them.
Dang.
And he was one of the ones. Wild. Yeah, and I knew that in the past, but I had gotten him mixed up with King Richard the Lionhearted. I think it was the video games that, you know, screwed that up for me. But yeah, so it was just like talking about how he again was like, you know, super paranoid, and no one was allowed in the city without being completely searched and without having legitimate reason to be there. You know, because these guys were supposedly after him, and they were very known for getting very close to their, you know, to their victims before they killed them, you know, like crazily close, like you'd have just never expected them to be there. And yeah, so he then marched out, found out where they were hiding, and starved them out. You know, surrounded their fort, starved them out, killed them all, burnt all of their history. And that
Dang.
is one of the saddest things I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Well, and just think, I mean, the Library of Alexandria, all of that information just, I mean, multiplied by who knows what. And that's where we've talked about it before. When you want to talk ancient civilization, listening to modern day archaeologists and historians and all that stuff, like for them to claim that there's no way an ancient civilization could have existed that was a little more technologically advanced than what we know per, what we've been taught throughout history. I'm like, but how can you definitively say that with the amount of history that we have lost over time? The amount of history that was just legitimately obliterated and erased. And gosh, dude, it'd be crazy just to know how much more history has been out there compared to what we've been actually taught. And I did want to say real quick, Book of the Kings. I mean, I don't know if there is the Book of the Kings, but there's obviously, referring to the Old Testament in the Bible, there's the Book of Kings going through the whole, lineage of David and Solomon, etc. Or the end of King David's reign, to the Babylonian exile, etc. But I don't know if there's a separate Book of the Kings that describes kind of what we talked about previously or not, but there is the Book of Kings, obviously relating to the Old Testament of the Bible.
Just to correct myself, it was not Kublai Khan, who was one of the grandsons of Genghis Khan. It was Hulagu Khan, which was also a grandson of Genghis Khan, that killed the Hashishan assassins, and based in a mountain fortress like Almut in Persia. And it was in 1256 that Hulagu Khan led a Mongol campaign into their territories on orders from the Great Khan. So who was the Great Khan then? I think it was Kublai. Hold on.
The greatest Khan of them all.
Hold on. The Great Khan at the time was Monkey Khan.
Monkey Khan.
Okay.
Turns out it was Wukong Khan.
Yeah, it was Black Myth Wukong. Mung Ka. It was Mung Ka Khan was the great Khan at the time, and he was Genghis Khan's grandson and the fourth great Khan of the Mongol Empire. He ruled from 1251 to 1259. That's very short.
Jeez.
He's the one that ordered Huglu Khan. Is that how I say it? It's Hulagu Khan to march west and crush the Nizari Ismailis, who were the known as the Hashishan assassins.
And for those that don't know why the Hashishan assassins were kind of important, not because of this. It's so the whole lineage of Assassin's Creed, the video games, was based on the Hashishan assassins.
Yeah. So it was, and I think, that's why I really loved the first Assassin's Creeds, because they really respected the history a lot. Like, you were in old, I don't know, I think
old Middle East, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like old Assyria. Let me see.
Yeah, I think it was. Dude, when did the first Assassin's Creed come out?
I was a junior or sophomore in high school. That was like back in like
we were that old?
2010, 11. Well, actually it was freshman year. It was 2009.
It says Assassin's Creed 2007.
Wow.
We were 7th grade.
Wow. And I guess
not to date ourselves.
Like the Assassin's Creed, the second Assassin's Creed, I think came out in 2009. And the very first Assassin's Creed game is set during the Third Crusade around 1191 AD in the Holy Land. Historically, it's based around Masyaf, the mountain fortress of the assassins in modern-day Syria, inspired by the real Nizari Ismaili stronghold Jerusalem under Crusader control, but with a mix of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish populations. Acre, a major Crusader port city, in Damascus, a key Islamic city and political center at the time. You play as Altair. Yep, an assassin operating in the real historical context of Crusaders versus Saracens, with the game weaving its fictional assassin Templar war into those events. Yeah, so all that to say that the reason that was so cool is to have something that was like, a starting point for why we got interested in a historical topic come up as a real event in major parts of history, and just, see that, not only were they real, they were a real force to be reckoned with. And, they just had so many methodologies and secrets that they held to themselves in their own libraries. And all of that was just burned to the ground.
Yep.
That is so sad.
Really sad.
And it's another thing.
Dude,
that, what?
No, go ahead. I was about to make a parallel jump to another topic, but relating to this, but go ahead.
I mean, I was just going to say that humans have become so actually, no, they have not, but en masse, they have become much less brutal because, I was listening again. I listen to this Fall of Civilizations podcast all the time. There's a new one that just came out. It's like one of the best podcasts for history that you can possibly listen to. And he was talking about how this king was describing what he had did in terms of beating a city. And he just described how he put all of their captives on stakes in front of the city. And I'm just like, dude, the idea of putting someone on a stake and the wriggling and the screaming and all of the stuff that would go through that, and to be able to do that to like 500 different people and just like be okay the next day, and just like, that's life. That's what happens in this time is, people, they F around and find out, and they get a stake shoved through their butt, out of their back, or, upper torso. And just, that's how they die. Like, that is horrific. Dude,
taking that a step further, Vlad the Impaler. Remember learning about him throughout history? Vlad the Third evidently ruled Wallachia in 1436.
Wallachia.
He was the second son of Vlad Dracul, who we now base Count Dracula off of. But Vlad the Third was believed to have killed up to 100,000 people with impalement as his preferred means of execution. Think about that. 100,000 people. That's like the entire town of Flower Mound. More than the entire town of Flower Mound.
You know what? So Vlad was captured from Wallachia as a child, and he was taken as essentially like that's what they would do back then. They would capture they would defeat an army, right? And then they let the king live under their rule, but they would then take one of his sons, if he had one, or both of them, and they would forcefully take them back, raise them as, their culture. And then, once that father was dead, or, they got rid of him, they would go put one of his sons, who is the rightful heir, on the throne over there, but he was raised with their values. And that's what happened to Vlad. Vlad was captured. He was raised and he was raised alongside Mehmed II, I believe was his name. And they were brothers, growing up, not blood, but they were brothers in, where they shared the same home and whatnot. And Mehmed was the emperor. He was going to be the emperor. And Wallachia was Wallachia played as the buffer zone between another really big army and I forget what who Mehmed, what their civilization was called, but so they wanted to control Wallachia, so they had a essential bodyguard against this other really big army up in the north of Wallachia. And that's why they sent Vlad back. Vlad was supposed to be their their, how would you say, like a input king that had been raised with them, and him and Mehmed were brothers. And it eventually turned out to where I think it was Vlad needed help from Mehmed to defend Wallachia, and Mehmed didn't send anyone. So then Vlad was like, "Screw you, I'm coming for you." And he had and I think it was Mehmed's people that were the ones on the pikes, on the impalements at one point, which really started the feud between them. And his army could have never beat Mehmed's, but they did some guerrilla warfare essentially, and eventually were beat by Mehmed. But all that to say that Vlad, like when you listen to Vlad's actual story, you kind of feel bad for him because well, actually, no. Oh man, I got that wrong. So what Vlad had done was there was a court. It was like a court where he was disrespected or something of the sort. And then when he grew up and became king, he invited all these people who had disrespected him to that court, like all these nobles and whatnot. And then he impaled them in front of the castle because they had like disrespected him or something along the lines. And I think he ended up doing it to Mehmed's soldiers as well, because that was his like way of intimidation. But long story short, you just find out he was a guy that was really messed up in the head, but really just wanted like sovereignty for Wallachia, and ended up being this pawn in like a greater scheme of things, and was like, screw this, I'm not going to be a pawn. And tried to fight Mehmed II, and Mehmed II just had more people, more technology, and there was no way to beat him.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Isn't it funny to think, not saying it's strictly limited to positions of power, but individuals in history that have been in positions of power seem like more often than not a little touched in the head.
Yeah.
It's just with the insane stuff that they did. But
Yeah.
no, that's 100,000 people ain't no joke. Talk about carrying a grudge.
Hold on. Yeah, his father was killed in a political coup. His older brother, Mercia, was captured, blinded, and buried alive. Vlad grew up seeing Boyars as treacherous. Yeah, the Boyars as treacherous, disloyal, and directly responsible for his family's destruction. So the famous event where he impaled a lot of people was, so I mean, for the first time, it was a lot of Wallachian boyars who were like the upper ruling class of Wallachia, and that's the reason that he blames his father for he blames the political coup on them. And Vlad invited the Wallachian boyars to a big Easter feast, often dated around 1457. During or after that feast, he had many of them seized. The older ones were impaled on stakes. The younger and stronger ones were forced into hard labor, rebuilding his fortress in Poenari. His main reasons: revenge for his father and brother. Many of the boyars at the feast were either directly involved in the plot against his dad and brother, or the same families who had a long history of turning on rulers. So this was personal. He wanted those specific people punished. Eliminate the coup machine. Wallachia had a nasty pattern of people doing coups and centralized power. He was trying to build a strong, centralized, semi-authoritarian rule instead of being a puppet of the noble families. Fear as a political strategy. And then where did... And I'm just doing this to make sure it's straight and I'm not just out there spewing, false history, just to kind of add some clarity. It was
It's just an alternate timeline.
Yeah. How does he say that? Maybe it's not Mehmed. It's Mehmed the second. It's something like that. But yeah, so Vlad's father, Vlad II Dracul, was a vassal of the Ottoman Empire. As a part of that arrangement, Vlad and his brother Radu were sent to the Ottoman Empire court as hostages for a few years. During that time, they spent part of their youth under the watch of the Ottomans, including young Mehmed, I believe, and I believe that's how you say that. So Vlad and Mehmed basically knew each other from when they were younger, just opposite sides of the power dynamic. Mehmed is the overlord and tribute and obedience. Mehmed II becomes Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, the guy who conquers Constantinople. Vlad III becomes voivode of Wallachia. In that region, that's squeezed between the Ottomans and the Hungarians is who they were trying to protect against. And Wallachia is supposed to be a vassal of the Ottomans, and that means Vlad is expected to pay yearly tribute, possibly supply troops, stay politically in line with Mehmed. And then the break, eventually Vlad decides, no, I'm not going to be your obedient vassal forever, stops paying tribute, starts attacking Ottoman territories, and this is Vlad essentially challenging Mehmed II's authority in the region. And in 1462, Mehmed led a attack or a campaign against him. And Vlad did a night raid on Mehmed's camp trying to assassinate him. They came very close to Mehmed's tent, but don't get him. Chaos, confusion, heavy casualties, but Mehmed survives. The force of the impaled, as Mehmed advances towards Targoviste, he and his army encounter a massive field of impaled corpses, Ottoman prisoners, criminals, enemies, thousands of them, according to some chronicles. This is Vlad's terror tactic on full display, meant to psychologically shock Mehmed's army. The fact Mehmed didn't press deeper into Wallachia to occupy long term. Instead, he backs Vlad's rival brother Radu the Handsome, and as a more compliant ruler, but eventually Vlad loses the throne, and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, I was saying a lot of true stuff, just saying it kind of out of order.
That's it's a heck of a history.
Yeah. But that's that one is on the on Netflix. You can watch a documentary about it where they actually like play out the like the Mehmed's an actor and Vlad is an actor, and there's kids and their kids and they grow up together and blah blah blah. So that's the story of Count Dracula.
There we go. What do you know?
What do you know?
What do you know? Yeah, no, that's pretty wild. There was actually a new Dracula movie getting ready to come out.
There's a Frankenstein movie that was just released on Netflix.
I just started watching that.
I started watching it the other night. I just couldn't get into it at that moment. I'm not saying I can't. I'm just saying at that moment I couldn't. So is it pretty dang good?
It is. I like it so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, granted, I'm only, 30 minutes into it, but still, so far it's pretty interesting. Definitely, I feel like it's a worthy Frankenstein.
Yeah. You think so?
I don't know. It's a different twist. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. I feel you.
I like it so far, but
this shoulder, man, it's killing me. And I think you're right. It might be the bicep.
Bicep tendon?
But it's right here.
Yep.
And that's where it hurts. Like if I press right there is where it hurts the most when I press it.
Yep.
And for the audience, I'm sorry, we're on camera looking at each other. But I was showing him where on my front right shoulder, where he's had problems before as well. I had injured it working out, and then I tried to massage it because it felt like there was a knot in there. And I felt like I was getting at it good because, you find a knot and it hurts really bad, but then you stop and it just kind of gives you some relief. And now it just hurts way worse. And it's, has less range of motion. So I probably messed it up. Either way, I just wanted to give you the visual of what I was showing him versus making you guys sit there and wonder what's going on.
What do you know?
What does you know?
Good history of having some shoulder injuries. So, yeah. Bicep tendon is not a fun thing to deal with at all.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's one of those things that just takes time.
Yeah.
Fortunately, but unfortunately at the same time.
You say fortunately? Why would it be fortunately?
because it just takes time. You don't have to do anything invasive to try to fix it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like it'd be nicer if it didn't take time, if it was quicker.
It would. You could just cut your arm off and just be done with it. Just be
Yeah.
like, no issues now. Just be like Cyberpunk. Now you can get like a robotic arm.
I have researched that in depth, how close we are to cyberpunk type limbs. And man, we are about 15 to 20 years probably from those type of limbs. And I think they say the biggest thing is obviously the bio interface of muscles and mechanics, machines, being able to like integrate that with your actual body versus it just be like an attachment piece that, that you can control and, just sticks on somewhere. But the other hard part is that I never even considered this part, but it's so true, is simulating real strength with those types of limbs, like the actual grip of a hand, because like you can't barely, if you make a 5-fingered hand, out of light materials, that should be good for, just everyday activities versus like steel or something like that, then it's very hard to replicate the actual strength of a human body. And like the muscle system in the body is just so intricate that it really just, creates a very hard problem, in terms of recreating not just strength, but more than, human strength. So,
Yeah. Makes it hard to replicate.
yeah. Let me see.
Yeah.
I'm going to see real quick in terms of ballistic.
Well, just thinking too of those exosuits. Like, granted, it's not a specific limb replacement, but I mean, where that technology is heading, allowing people that have been paralyzed to actually get up and walk.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
So here's what we do have right now. Myoelectric prosthetic arms and hands. They read electrical signals from your remaining muscles to open, close the hand, rotate the wrists, etc. Multi-articulating hands, Autobot, Open Bionics, Hero Arm. These are other companies that are doing this. They can grip a bottle, type, use a phone, even do some individual finger movements. They're real, commercially available, and getting lighter, more responsive, and less laggy every year. ASEAN integration, direct bone attachment. Instead of a socket, a metal implant is put into the bone and the prosthetic clicks onto that. Result, more natural control, better weight transfer, less skin irritation. This is already being done for some arm and leg amputees. Early sensory feedback. A few research groups have given patients basic sense of touch by connecting electrodes to nerves and feeding back signals from sensors in the prosthetic fingers. Users can sometimes feel pressure, rough versus smooth, something touched my index versus my thumb. This is still research level and not yet standard clinic gear, but it's real humans using real touchy robot hands. What we don't have yet, fully fluid, natural, human level dexterity like your biological hand, arms that are stronger than human, ultra fast, and totally precise without massive battery or weight trade-offs. Everyday prosthetics with rich, natural feeling, temperature pain. This is, glass versus wood, etc. That's still mostly in lab demos. And yeah, so it said modern leg prosthetics are pretty insane already. Carbon fiber running blades, think Paralympians, microprocessor knees and ankles, actively adjust stiffness, step, and swing depending on terrain and speed. Some systems actively help with stairs, slopes, stumbling, and walking patterns. This is one area where we're closer to a low-key cyberpunk reality. They don't look like Chrome anime legs, but functionally, balance assistance, adaptive walking, high-performance running. Still missing, fully self-powered, super strong jump 3-story legs. Yeah, we don't have.
Not quite there yet.
Yes. And then where it gets into brain control, limbs, real but early game. And I was talking about that earlier. So yeah, it's we've still got a little while to go. So let's see if it gives us a timeline, just real quickly.
Yeah.
Let's see. It says 36 hours.
My gosh, we'll have it in 36 hours.
We should have
as well
what?
As well as lightsabers, interstellar travel, teleportation, and multiplanetary civilization.
We are today 2025-ish, pretty advanced. Okay, come on, just give me the answer. I don't need just like a 6, paragraphs before I get it. Rough timeline. If progress continues like this, next 10 years now to the mid 230s. Much more common near natural prosthetic control. Ossian integration goes mainstream-ish, smarter, lighter exoskeletons, cyberpunk level. 10 to 25 years, speculative but plausible with no huge roadblocks. Functionally human level prosthetic arms and hands for many tasks. Semi-elective enhancements for special cases. You might see athletes, military, extreme workers experimenting with augmented strength. More practical neural interfaces, but still not plug and play jacks. And then 25 plus years out, the total guess territory depends on big breakthroughs. If we crack better batteries and power, lightweight actuators, and super sustainable neural interfaces, then we might see limbs that are reliably stronger and more enduring than biological ones. But the huge wild cards, biology might stay preferable. Gene therapy, regenerative medicine, or bioengineering could make fixing your original limbs easier than replacing them. In your lifetime, so realistically, in your lifetime, super legit, highly functional, almost normal prosthetic limbs with real touch and good control for people who need them. Full-on Chrome warrior humans everywhere, much less certain. Tech might get there for a tiny subset, but money, risk, and law will keep it from something that everyone signs up for.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Cool.
25
Intriguing
years.
stuff. So we'll see it at some point. Gonna be sick.
It will be sick.
Well, cool.
Well, I know that was a random hodgepodge of topics today. We're looking at, trying to come on with some stuff that was like, hard line, but it was just like, sometimes we're just good at getting on and riffing. So that's what we hoped you guys enjoyed it. We going through some history stuff, some gaming stuff, and, you just got a quick peek into what is interesting inside of our brains on a second to second basis. So I hope it was fun. We appreciate everyone for listening. We're up to 8,000 followers on Instagram now, which is super cool. Y'all please go and keep liking, following, even leaving mean comments. This guy, did you see that comment that guy left on one of our posts? It said like,
shut up, stop making content.
Yeah. Shut up, stop making content or something like that. And I was like, appreciate you, big dog.
Did you respond?
No, I'm not going to respond to that.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I was thinking about it. He was rage baiting, but I'm just like, I don't see you doing a podcast, big dog. So keep your opinion to yourself. He's just jealous.
Man,
he's just jealous.
Now I'm just so like, should I go back and respond and just be like, thank God we have your wisdom to guide us through this process?
Nope. No. Don't take the bait. Don't
take the bait. If you're listening to this episode, screw you, buddy. But thanks for commenting.
You got to us.
It did piss me off.
Oh man!
But I let it roll off my back like duck off a water's back.
Duck off of water's back.
Water off of
But the
duck's
beautiful thing is we're the ones producing content, and guess what? He's the
You're-
one commenting on it.
You're the
So
one
you're just
commenting on
doing us
things
a
we're
favor.
producing. Yep, you are.
You are just helping.
You're
So
playing into the
appreciate
trap.
you. Yep. You are awesome. Keep it coming, honestly.
Right.
Negative comments galore. Bring it on, because you're just helping us grow. So
100%.
muchas gracias to all those that have tuned in once again. Episode 42. Planning that giveaway to celebrate the well over 1 million views all time. So stay tuned for the announcement coming soon. And yeah, we're getting ready to, it's crazy. Thanksgiving is coming up. So as we are approaching the holiday season, we will continue to do our best to push out content, new episodes, and all that fun stuff. And yeah, stay tuned for some exciting stuff on the horizon. But as always, Thoughify Army, you guys are awesome, and could not be more grateful for you all.
100%. Me as well. But love you guys. See you on the next episode. We're going to try to get one more out before Thanksgiving, but just be on the lookout for it. So peace out, Cub Scouts, and thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Catch you guys in episode 43.